Okay, shout out to BGS for sending me this article from the Wall Street Journal. I'm not subscribed to the Wall Street Journal, but I have access to other journals, research journals. So, everyone, welcome back to my channel. As you can see from the title, scientists have been able to restore brain function in animal experiments, but the most important thing is they've restored that after death. So they've done this work in pigs, and they're hoping to translate that work into humans. It's a long time before they'll be able to do this in humans, and in science terms that means about a year. So people think a long time is like 20 years or something. No, it's like a year or even less. But they've been able to find a way to restore activity to pig brains hours after death in a series of experiments that medical and legal experts said could reshape science's understanding of the brain's limits. The brains removed from animals that died in food processing facilities were hooked up to a system built by scientists at Yale University. It pumped a nutrient-rich fluid through the organ for several hours. Afterward, the researchers described their findings in the journal Nature. So what they were able to do, if we go to that actual Nature article, so people had a lot of questions about this. This was just recently published work this month. So they're talking about from consciousness to cryonics or cryogenics. Nature's news team answers readers' questions about a remarkable piece of research. And so this is the pig research. So pig brains were restarted and their cellular function was restored hours after death with the support of a system that pumped oxygen and nutrients into the organs. So if you look on the right side, the bold print, it talks about related articles, how pig brains were kept alive outside the body for hours after those pigs died. They've also been able to grow lab mini brains. So these are smaller brains that are grown in a laboratory that produce electrical patterns that resemble those of premature babies. So they're looking at this from both sides. They're looking at it from adult pigs that have been euthanized from the food processing industry, and they're also looking at it from a stem cell perspective, because when you talk about inducing electrical patterns that resemble excuse me, premature babies, you're talking about stem cell research. There's no other really like tangible way you could focus on that except for stem cells. Anyway, if we go to the Yale University research done with the pigs, they revived the brains 4 hours after death. And in my opinion, that is a long period of time after death, because supposedly rigor mortis would be setting in. Although the team stopped short of restoring consciousness, bioethicists say its approach has profound ethical implications. And this is the issue in the United States. Not an issue, but it consistently comes up as a topic of discussion. How ethical are we really being? Are we trying to induce immortality? Are we trying to compensate for the limitations of human anatomy and physiology? And all the answers to the questions are yes, yes, and yes, because that's where science is going now. And I hope that people are more aware. I hope that my videos and other people's videos are making you more aware of really what's going on. So they're saying, could this research lead to immortality? They say here it's unlikely, but this is Nature. I think they have to say it's unlikely. But when you have someone who thinks of a concept like this, clearly they're trying to perpetuate the sense of immortality, because the brain is alive outside of the body. You know, these are the ideas that make science fiction movies gold, you know. So the BrainX system was developed by the researchers. It supplies cells with oxygen and nutrients. So it's a very simple system, but the implications and the way it will be applied outside of the laboratory is the problem. That is where things get more complicated. I hope you guys are following me. So the system of support restores some cellular functions such as metabolizing sugars for energy and making protein for up to 36 hours. Of course, you know the brain needs a lot of sugar for energy. It also has proteins, neurotransmitters, and so forth. Neurons are there doing their job. So they say here that the system can't slow aging or disease, and the researchers don't know how long BrainX can keep organs alive. They haven't gone out to see how far it would keep the organs alive. The team has not tried the technology in humans, not least because BrainX is difficult to use without removing the brain from the skull. But further development of the system could one day offer hope of reviving people after brain death from an accident, heart attack, or a stroke. Someone asked, what does this mean for brain transplantation? That was something that was discussed. I mean, it's been discussed for decades now. They answer here saying that transplanting a brain from one body to another is still closer to the realm of science fiction than fact. Okay. The researchers in the pig brain study restored some function to the cells within the organs, but connecting a transplanted brain to a living body would be a much more complex endeavor. One of the biggest challenges for scientists would be determining how to reconnect the brain stem to the body's severed spinal cord. Making that connection would allow the brain to send electrical signals down the spine to direct the body's function and movement, and to respond to sensory input from elsewhere in the body. So I believe there was a scene in the show Altered Carbon, and I may just have to do a review or something on that show because I know it's old, but there's a lot of things going on in technology and science right now, engineering. Of course, you require the use of mathematics, but in STEM in general, that comes directly from that show and several movies, as I'm sure you know. But people, for them to just say, oh, well, this will never happen. Like, okay, you could say that if you want to. If you want to keep the public quiet, I guess you could say that. But I may just do, look out for my channel. I may just do a review on the show Altered Carbon. Like, I'm not going to do like episode by episode because that's ridiculous. But I'll pick out certain things within that show that relate with some of the videos I've already done and concepts that we've discussed. So they say, someone else asked, could a disembodied brain be conscious? Could it perceive or sense things? They don't know, and I'm just going to leave it at that. They don't know. Or they say they don't know. But I'm going to go down to another question. Could research like the pig brain study change how we define consciousness? And I think it could, because you can begin, like they say here, you could start modeling consciousness and brain activity in the lab, and that helps scientists test drugs for neurological disorders and disembodied animal organs rather than in people. So, yeah, and this is one main point. This is like the last point I'll make. The pig brain experiments took place in the U.S., which does not regulate experiments on animals' organs after they are removed from the body. That is not true. You have to go through IACUC. I don't know why they didn't, why they saying this. It's like they're talking to children when they answer these questions, like children don't know. But, you have IACUC and IRB regulations, especially if the animal has been injected with anything of human origin. So IRB is the Institutional Review Board for human tissues, human cells, any kind of human involvement in that experiment. And IACUC is IACUC. I forget what it stands for, but it's basically Institution for Animal Care. I think Animal Care Usage something. I forgot what the other C stands for. But if you look up all caps IACUC, you can figure out what IACUC stands for. I think it's animal care use, something like that. But that goes prior to birth, during life, and after death. So for them to say they don't regulate experiments on animals after the organs after removed from the body, that's not true. Look at the food industry. the food industry has to follow similar I-cook procedures as well. How do you think they got the animal brains? Like, come on. So they're not being really honest right there, but you know, I don't know. Researchers say that any experiments that could restore brain activity to a disembodied organ should be conducted only after an ethical review. That's true. So if there's an ethical review, there is regulation. Review means regulation. Fool, like, come on. So they can contradict themselves. That's my point in this paragraph right here. And if they contradict themselves in this paragraph, chances are they contradict themselves in other paragraphs, as I just laid out for you earlier. But they have other questions here. I suggest you go to this link. I'll leave a link to this article where they answer people's questions in the description box. I'll try to find a link to the actual research article as well. I may just have to search for it and send it to you in the description box. They have it here. I think they have it there linked in blue, but I'll put it in the description box to make it easier for you so this video doesn't go on too long. You all let me know what you think in the comment section. Let me know what kind of animals you think would be more appropriate for this particular experiment. They use pigs because they're closer to humans. They've been using pigs a long time because they're closer to humans physiologically and anatomically. Their brains are much bigger, so it's easier to work with, much bigger than a mouse or a rat. They also wanted to use the same tools to manipulate the brains as they would with humans on a pig's brain. Pigs are also in a very high abundance. They are decapitated and their heads are thrown away pretty much, or ground up. Their brains are not used as much anymore for consumption, such as with tripe, but they're still consumed, in lower levels. So they were able to get the brains that way. But if you have other ideas or questions, even suggestions on what they could have done better in this study, please let me know in the comment section. If you're new to my channel, welcome to my channel. Thank you for stopping by. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I'll check you all out in the next video. I love reading your comments, so don't forget to leave one. And yeah, just check out my channel, and I'll see you soon.